Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
How can we fundraise in a way that's unofficial? Those were the last words of the last episode. And I'm really sorry that I left you guys on such a cliffhanger, but I wanted to make sure that you came back. So if this is the first episode you're listening to, this is part 2 of our conversation with Gastor Almonte. Please go back and listen to part 1 so that you're not confused and you're not lost as to what's going on. I'm also going to assume if you're listening to this episode, then you already know that this is the Revisionary Podcast, and I'm your host, Juan Carlos. And this is a podcast where guests come on and tell us a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish something had gone a little bit different. Afterwards, I give them an opportunity to retell the same exact story, but they can change any details or facts about the story that they want, and we discuss the impact. This is part 2 of You Got Timbs Hide Keys with Gastor Almonte. So please go listen to part 1 if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, pause this and take a moment and please go give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's really important to the podcast. It's how we grow. It's how other people can see that this is an awesome podcast that you guys all love. And thank you again for tuning in and listening. I really appreciate you guys, the Revisionaries. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get Gastor back on the line and finish the story. Let's find out what happens next.
We got the basketball court, B. We could do events here from 9 to 2 like we doing already. We just got to charge at the door. Say it's a fundraiser. I was like, you for real? He's like, yo, he said, we got people coming here 5 days a week anyway. We got 2 days, nobody comes to the courts. Use them 2 days to fundraise. We use the other 5 days to promote the fundraiser. And I was like, yo, if you were a white kid in suburbia, you would have such a great future in like a Fortune 500 company. That is brilliant shit. Like, you were completely right. That is exactly, you figured out how to market to the target demo, everything. This is a full breakdown. I love this idea. So, I was like, all right, so what kind of event can we do? He's like, all right, well, what are things that we like to do on Saturdays that, would entice this area? So we put up a fundraiser that was, I forget the fight, but we hosted a fight night at St. Mike's. And that was literally the name because it rhymed. It was like fight night at St. Mike's. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we hosted the fight. So we bootlegged the HBO shit, had the fight showing on 4 different screens in the gym. We hosted a poker tournament during the freaking fight so that you could play cards before the main event.
You were gambling in church?
Dude, son. So you had we had 25% of the poker pool went to the fundraiser. The other 75% went to the players. Then we had drinks. Like, I brought in yo, my homegirl's like, yeah, I'm a bartender. And in retrospect, she definitely wasn't a bartender. She mixed like 4 drinks in her life. But but she was back there. So she was mixing shit. We were selling drinks. And like, legit, we had a full-on gambling event at the church to raise money for a church event.
Wow. I can hear your soul sizzling as you're telling me the story.
But again, all of this was with good intention, right? So, like, this was to raise money for a valid church thing, to send people that were already committed to going that might have came up short the rest of the way. So I still feel like I'm in the good here. Like, if you weighing it out, it's like 60-40.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, we legit, like, we sold it. People had to pay money to come in. We had a DJ playing. We had seats set up so you could see the fights. You got 2 comp drinks, and you got to buy the rest of your drinks the rest of the night. Only people that got free drinks were people that also bought into the poker tournament. Poker tournament had like 60 players, so you had to buy in separately into the tournament. So me, my boy Heck, my boy Jeff, we doing this. A few other people help out. I'm not going to say their names because they got regular jobs now.
Understood.
But it's a success. Like, we realized we opened the doors at like 10:30. We waited a little bit later that day because we wanted to make sure everybody was out the church. We opened up the doors at 10:30. I want to say by noon, we realized that our cut was going to be like $5,000. That's like real bread. Like, we could send people to Europe. You know what I mean? So we're happy. This is a win. right? So now we just got to make sure the night goes well. People are playing. Everyone's doing their thing. We had a balance giving liquor so that people could drink and have a good time. By the same token, not, lose their temper, because we do know there's real money here now. And as dope as this is, I'm not security. I'm not stopping 50 people fighting me for bread, know? So we had like shit set up like every like a half hour upstairs, somebody would make a run to my crib with the money so that the money wasn't even in the church anymore, just in case we got robbed. So that was the plan. Like, I bet starting at midnight, any bread that we get that's for the trip, we're going to start driving it to G's house every half hour so that if something does pop off, the bread ain't here. So we even had like foresight. I was like, all right, cool. We're trying to plan this out intelligently. This is only because like we'd seen Ocean's 11s way too many times. Like, so like, we're like, all right, nobody jacking us and shit. So we're good. So we turning up, we partying. Everybody's having a great time. Fights are going good. Card game is going well. People getting their drinks. I'm legit happy. We was getting so cocky, we even ordered like Chinese food. Like, we was like, yo, my man, it's coming up to St. Michael's. They're like, this closed. Like, yo, trust me, it's open. You just don't know yet. Like, just show up. I promise you someone's at the door. So like, we're doing all of this. It's like around like 12:15. We setting up to do the first run of money out to my crib. And my boy Jeff, who was DJing on the stage, because this is a school gym, right? You got a full basketball court, but it also doubles as the biggest like auditorium. So they would put out chairs and there was like a stage. So he was on the stage with my DJ speakers, my like DJ turntables, all that shit. He's turntabling, mixing songs for the party, setting up the mood. I notice he sets it up on like autoplay for like 5 songs and sneaks off. So I think he's gonna mess with his chick. So he goes to like the back. He's doing his thing with the chick. I don't see any of this, but that's what I'm assuming is happening because I see the music playing. He's not there. And I'm feeling good overall, but I also felt like this is too easy. Right. And I felt like right when that tension hit me, like, this is going way too well.
Your New York senses started tingling.
Yeah. Like, I was like, this is too easy. Like, this is because like there was like by like 12 o'clock, I was feeling so good that like me and Hector was like, yo, this should just be our jobs. Why don't we just do this every, you know what I mean? Like, we just bring in 5 Gs every week. We can just do this all the time, B.
Right.
So like we felt way too good about this. And the other reason I know we were good people is because we were all like doing this from a genuine non-greed place. Like nobody was like, what's my cut? Like it was legitimately raising funds for this. So it felt dope. Anyway, I felt way too comfortable and I knew that was bad. So I'm talking to Hank. I'm like, yo, let's start moving the bread. Let's start setting up for that. We're going to wrap this up at like 2 o'clock. We set up if you know about poker, we set up the antes to go up at a pace that the tournament would end by like 1:30. We felt the fight would be over by 1 o'clock. And I figured between 1 and 2, we could start slowly kicking everyone out. 2:30, we clean up, we close up. So I'm like, yeah, let's start putting that in action from now. Maybe we can even get some of the people that's knocked out to leave instead of taking free drinks. And as I'm saying that, like me and Hector are talking out the plan to do that. We bring over my boy Drew to drive over the bread. And Drew's like, you need me to drive? He's like, yeah. And he's looking, we're talking on the balcony area, looking over the courts. And Drew's like, yo, I think Jeff needs you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Jeff is with his chick. He's like, nah, Jeff is waving at me. And I look over, he's like, Gastor, get over here. Come down. So like, I'm like, all right. And he's like, nah, now. He's waving me. So I'm not reacting at the pace that now I realize it should have and that Jeff clearly needed me to. So Jeff runs up the stairs as I'm not doing what I need to do. Jeff runs up to the 3 of us and he's like, we need to leave now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I can't explain, but I've been breaking into this church for years, as you guys have as well with this basketball thing of late. I can tell you one thing for sure. I don't know how. I just know what it sounds like when it does. And we set off the alarm. So we got to leave because without question, there's going to be a cop here within 5 minutes. And like, we were like, oh shit. And mind you, like, again, we're technically not doing anything super grimy, but we've crossed the line where like, even if a priest showed up and saw me, I'm not winning this discussion, right? Like, so I felt like that was where like, if you would have caught me last week with the basketball thing, I felt like a priest would have been mad, but I could have talked my way out of that. I can't talk my way out of this.
Right.
I definitely can't talk my way out the cop getting here first. Like I'm losing. I don't know what, I'm in jail and then I'm explaining to the priest what I did wrong. So we're like, what the fuck we gonna do? So we make an announcement. We're like, listen, we have to pause the tournament temporarily. Everybody's like, what are you talking about? We're like, we got 2 tables left, B. We almost wrapped. It's just getting intense. And we're like, cops are showing up in 5 minutes. Everybody's like, say no more. Like everyone instantly understood, like, got it. Like, yeah, we with you. So thankfully, the main event of the fight wasn't starting yet. Nobody put up an issue about that. We turned off all the TVs. Jeff goes on the stage, pushes my DJ equipment back, closes the curtains so that if you show up, you don't see the DJ equipment on the stage. We hand out Ziploc bags and tell everybody, put your poker chips in the bags so that we could know where you are at and we can pay you out accordingly based on where you are currently in the tournament. And we start rolling these like huge church fucking tables all against one wall. We're like, listen, we can't put them away, but if we could at least roll them to the same place, it'll look organized so that it'll look like somebody was setting up for something, right? But if we leave all this shit out like a mess, it's gonna look crazy. We do all that. We run up to the counter and we hear the 5-0, the sirens pulling up to the front of the church hall so that we can't walk out through there. So Jeff is like, I know the way. So Jeff leads us through. Jeff has lived across the street from the church his whole life, and he snuck in and out of church for basketball and other shit apparently all the time. So he knew like the tunnel system and all of that. So he's like, I'm gonna lead y'all out this way. So we went from through the church hall, underneath the church, and we came out through like the school side.
Right.
So we come out on the other side of the block, and then we walk to my homegirl's crib. I don't know if she would want her name in it, so I'm gonna just leave that blank.
Yeah.
So we all stand in front of her crib, and we're like, what's the plan? We're like, all right, we're just gonna look like every other suspicious group that's out at this time of night. You know what I mean? So like, if somebody talks to us, at least it's in character of East New York. Yeah. You know, so we're all hanging out here, and we see the cops go into the church. They're looking around, they're stumped, they coming out. I even see one dude like holding like plastic cups and shit. He's like, I don't know what the fuck this all is. We couldn't put away all the drink shit, but overall, it didn't look like anything crazy. It just looked like there was a party. And I see them I see them making phone calls. I found out later they were talking to the priest. So I see them making phone calls. Nice here, boss. I hit them on the walkie. We're here now. Nothing's going on. And they hanging out. They're pacing back and forth. I go up to my boy Mark, and something I should say about Mark. Mark is my friend from high school. I went to high school in prep school in Queens. Mark is not of this world at all. And Mark knew that we were trying to raise funds, so Mark was nice enough to invite 4 of his friends who were less of this world than he was.
Got it.
So we got like maybe 20, 30 people from East New York and Brownsville, and 4 Asian kids from Floral Park, Queens.
Okay.
And they are very nervous about this whole dynamic, you know? Yeah. But to their credit, they are also exceptional poker players. So they do not want to leave because they're also doing very well in the tournament. Mm-hmm. They're like, yo, like we got chips, like we doing good, but also like, I don't want to die today over this poker tournament. You know what I mean? But we're all hanging out. I'm like, yo, just lay low. We here. Anybody asks, you dating a chick from here now. You good. Don't even worry about it. So we all chilling. And I see the cops like trying to figure it out. They stumped. I see them look over across the street and they see admittedly the biggest group that's hanging out outside is ours. But we are not the only group that's hanging out outside. So they look at our group and I know like their cop instinct is like, they dev did this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because they stayed at us way too long. They're like, I don't know what, I don't know how, but they involved. But they can't pinpoint it because there's other groups of people in the neighborhood chilling outside too. So they looking at us, they looking at some other squads, and I see like some dude like wave over a couple of the cops to make like the rounds. So like a cop walks by us and he's like, hey, what y'all been up to? And we like, yo, we just been kicking it here. He's like, true. All right, y'all have a good night. And he keeps walking. He goes to the other side of the street. He talks to like a group of like 5 to 10 people chilling. And they obviously don't give him nothing either. So he walks back to the front of the church and they talk it over. And they're like, yo, it is what it is. Just keep it moving. And they went off. So we looked at each other. We like, yo, we got away with this shit. Like, yeah. Let's go finish this tournament. Word. You know what I mean? So we go back inside. We played for like another half hour. Everybody was hyper aggressive now. Like they felt high on life. You know, like they survived some shit. So when we go back in, the first like 4 hours of the tournament was intense. Now everybody was like, I'm all in. More drinks. So everybody's on a whole new level of life. Tournament ends in like 15 minutes, but we partied for like another hour. Yeah, we had a good time. We had a fun night, and we were able to send 3 people to Europe along with myself and my now wife. So it was, in my opinion, well worth it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my story.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna do a condensed version of this.
Yeah, I talk. You let me talk, I'm gonna talk.
Nah, I love it. So what would you have done differently?
So, in retrospect, if I could do it over, so I feel like me and Hector were unchecked ambition, right? Like,
right.
We every time I think of like that moment when me and Hector decided to host a casino fight night at St. Mike's, I realized that we should have had more adult input of like adults with like repercussions in their life. Like we were grown-ups legally, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like you needed a parent, like someone that's like, yo, you could ruin your life. Yeah. Like you needed me today. That would have been like, I get you. I would have understood, but I also would have been like, nah, but you gonna fuck up your life. Cause we just got lucky is really what it comes down to, like, it was the perfect storm of Jeff being there and knowing how to get out. And legit, I can't stress enough. We probably beat them by like 30 seconds. Because even the side we came out on, cops ended up like going around the block, like because they know the whole church, the whole block is theirs. If I could do it over, the main thing I would change is that combo with me and Hector. I'd put up a bigger front in terms of what would be a good idea to raise funds and probably figure out like a different usage of the church. Like I might have done like a basketball tournament if I could do it over, where like, they would have incorporated the same group of people, the same energy. They was already doing it there, right? So like we could have met up on, admittedly, it would have raised less money because they're already playing ball. Right. But like, it could have been like a bragging rights thing. And it's something that we thought of afterward when we started like hustling the kids in Queens. But like, we could have done like a basketball tournament, invited people, yo, everybody come in, put in your bucks for your squad. A quarter of it goes to the fundraiser. Winning team keeps all the other money. You know what I mean? And we would have got like way less money, but still a substantial amount of money. And more importantly to me, it was easier cleanup, right? Like if 5-0 shows up, it's just bread and basketball players. No alcohol involved, no DJ equipment and cabling systems connecting 4 televisions to the one cable box that we could bring in that was hooked up. So we needed that one to be the one. It would have made a lot of that easier. And more importantly, would have took a lot of the gray area out.
So here's the thing, right? Now, you got away with it. But let's not look past the fact that knowing nothing about the people who you sent to Italy, this could have been a life-changing trip for someone, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like overall, like we did the right thing. We did the greater good. And I can't stress enough, like everyone that showed up knew the purpose. Like there was no griminess. There was no hustle. Like we're here to raise funds for this trip. And I found that beautiful that many people were committed to it. A ton of people that, being frank, knew they couldn't go still showed up because they knew that it would help someone else go. Knowing that, ironically, in order to send someone, they were probably breaking 3 laws. but it was cool to like see like a block come together to kind of help somebody out and do that. And yeah, I'm still proud of the organization, the togetherness. Even the out of towners, my boy Mark, like that's still my dude to this day. That's my daughter's godfather. Like that day, like for real, like I realized like, yo, this dude's really like ride or die shit. Cause he could have bounced on us like easy and been more than justified. And he chilled with us the whole time and he went back in and played. I think he finished in the money. The dude made, you know what I mean? Like, he saw the value of being a part of the moment and also helping this group do what they were doing. Either that or he was just really into poker. I don't know. Like he might just have a gambling problem. Okay. But like, yeah, I just thought that was dope, and I valued people being willing to go above and beyond for people's potential.
Okay. So normally I would ask you what the long-term effects are, but I think we've kind of covered that.
Yeah, I think we have, yeah.
Instead, I'm going to move on a little bit. And I didn't tell you that I was going to ask you this. I like to catch people off guard sometimes.
Okay.
Could you tell us a quick story from your childhood that, brings a smile to your face, or just like a general happy memory or something that just makes you feel good inside whenever you think of it?
This ain't happy enough, B?
Yeah, I'm greedy. I want another.
My godfather, Domingo, he lived upstairs from me growing up, and he had like a real like silly personality. He's the reason that I realized that adults could be funny and be clowns. What he would do is he had like this little like office underneath the house that he kept all his supplies in. He was like a mechanic and shit. And the other thing he kept there was firecrackers. So he wouldn't tell anybody, and he would just randomly put like M80s and shit under your chair, and they would like fucking make you deaf. Like, and he would just, and exactly what I just did now, like just to laugh, he would laugh in your face right after it blew up, and it hurt so much because you felt the energy of the laugh, but you couldn't hear it because you were deaf from the M. So you just feel like the air, like ha 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 ha. But yeah, he did that for years, man, and like I grew to appreciate July 4th so much because it became like an unofficial holiday of him. You know, he would do it every time there was a family gathering, anytime we did a barbecue out front. And genuinely miss the dude, passed away like 5 years ago. Super like a human athlete, really athletic, did all the construction work for that first home that I not only lived in from age 4 to 12, but it was the first home that my parents co-bought with him and my godmother. So when me and my wife got married and had our first kid and didn't have money, it's also the first apartment I moved into as a married man. So my first bedroom in an apartment was also my daughter's first bedroom. So like I'm really attached to like the memories of that building, and it was just dope to every time I like July 4th came at that house, I would not only like remember that, but also like I'd tell my daughter and my son like the story of this, and they were incoherent, they barely remember it, they were way too young for that shit, but it was just cool to kind of like sit out front July 4th with them and see the fireworks and remember what it was like to be a little kid on that block going deaf with my godfather.
I think, first off, I think that's a beautiful story. One last thing before I let you go. I know you put this out a little bit ago now. Some time has passed. But you did put out an album, so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to, talk about it. And let's keep people listening to it, keeping it in the forefront.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I worked on album / independent special. It's called Immigrant Made. The special can be streamed on Amazon Prime, free if you have an Amazon Prime membership. And it's just me telling a bunch of funny stories that show the journey of my family, essentially. Like you get to see what it was like for my grandfather when he first came here, what it was like for me and my father, and our dynamic as I was growing up, and a little bit of me and my son. So yeah, it was just, it's a story that kind of shows to me the whole American dream of what can happen within a timeline of one man's life before and after. It's a really special project to me that, I hope people enjoy and they also find funny, and, that'd be cool. I hope people get to check it out. It is streaming, like I said, for free on Amazon Prime, and you can hear the album anywhere the albums are streaming. Immigrant Made. And
where can we follow you?
You can follow me on all social medias at Gastor Almonte, GastorAlmonte. By the time this comes out, you will also have heard my new podcast with Shalewa Sharp, The War Report. I got to show you the cover. I don't know if you've ever seen Capone and Noriega's old album cover, The War Report. We remade the cover with me and Shalewa. So it might be a little before your time, but it is a lot of fun to shoot. So I'll send you that. You're a young man. I got to plug you on that too. Let the industry know my man Juan got time. Y'all can invest in him. He's got a long career ahead of him. He's not an old man like me. You know what I mean? I don't know how much different. We might be the same age. I can't tell with Dominicans at all. You could be like my nephew or my grandfather. I don't know what. Oh man. But yes, Immigrant Made at Gastor Almonte and Shalewa Sharp and I hosting The War Report.
And then the last thing is there any last words you want to leave our revisionaries with before I let you go?
Yeah, the main thing I could say that I've learned from being a stand-up and from telling stories and from living fun stories, everybody always asks is, yo, Gastor, you got crazy stories, B. And that's because I say yes to mad shit. I really believe in that philosophy. I want to experience things. I feel like it enriches life and I get to have really dope things happen. And then every now and then when something goes wrong, I got a dope, set out of it and I get paid anyway. You know what I mean? I let my boy Joey, my boy Tooth, I lent him $180. Was it a smart idea? No, but I've made way more than $180 off of the streaming rights from that album, from the track that I talk about it on. So you see what I'm saying? It comes back full circle. Live the moments, do the experiences, and it pays off, people.
But you still trying to get that 180? Because
hell yeah, I want that 180. Now. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get paid twice, B. He owes me the 180. Now I mean, not Spotify.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Real pleasure, my G. Take care, homie. Keep spreading the love out there too, man. I want to hear about the third and fourth Dominican in that whole state ever. It's like you and whoever's played for the Mariners. There's no others.
All right, man. Later.
Take care, bro. Peace.
The Revisionary Podcast.
The craziest thing about that is that Gastor was out here really dealing religion. He ran a whole scam and used the church to do it. That is wild to me. I can't even wrap my head around it. But I guess he did it with the best of intentions. So that almost makes it not bad, right? I mean, at the end of the day, playing basketball is a positive experience for most people. He was making the streets safer, so I give him that. Also, Timbs as fobs? Is that a thing that people are doing? Because if it is, I need to hop on that. Well, anyway, I want to thank you again for listening. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please go ahead and do so. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and on Twitter, and make sure you like us on Facebook. Also, make sure you follow, subscribe, and rate us anywhere that you're listening to us. As always, we like to pick a charity or an organization to throw our support behind on this podcast. For this episode, Gastor has actually selected Cypress Hills Local Development, which is a community organization that provides resources for residents of East New York. So go ahead and please support Gastor.
This is